Hey, Nick Inman from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Monday, September 10th. And the market's a little bit of selling pressure, and I think this is warranted just for the fact that we had a nice two-day run. And now what is the market waiting for? What is the next event? Well, you need to know that the news, well, today, Tuesday, or tomorrow and Wednesday, the next 2 days are pretty light news days. But on Thursday, not only do you have jobless claims and PPI, but you have the FOMC meeting and their forecasts, and then, of course, Bernanke's press conference. That's all in the afternoon. So Thursday, just be available at the screen. You may need to do some, trading around position-wise. But the market's definitely waiting for the second half of the week. And then Friday, you have the CPI, retail sales, industrial production, consumer sentiment, business inventories. So this is a news-driven week. It's the back end, so just keep that in mind. Realize that, we could easily see a pullback here. Just to give you an idea of what could happen, and I'm just kind of freehanding this, so don't put too much into this, but looking at last week, our lows from last week, 1394, what you're seeing is we had a high volume area from 1433 to 1436 or so that formed the end of, I should say on Friday. We held that this morning overnight, and then all of a sudden we broke those levels. I mean, sliced right through this volume right here, and paused for a little bit at this volume node, and then looks like we're heading down to around 1420, another 2 or 3 points down. Just because I'm curious, Fibonacci, a 50% retrace, that's what I was kind of looking at. Well, we're currently at 38.2. 50% is 1416. And then 61.8 is 1411. If we break through 1419, you look down towards around 1414 to 1412. Let me zoom back in here. Try to get the right. Basically, this volume node here, this high volume area, and then it could get down to the last week's point of control. Just keep that in mind, and we have till Thursday to kind of move that way, in my opinion. So we're either going to trade back up towards this high volume area, 1428 to 1430 or so. We're either going to test 1424, or we're going to test 1419 and maybe go below. So just keep that in mind. NASDAQ kind of showing you what the S&P is doing. So we're slicing through volume here, and NASDAQ's trying to stop at this current high volume area. Just be careful. Last week's point of control finished higher, and now all of a sudden we're, looks like we're kind of filling in this space. Just realize if this week's point of control on the NASDAQ finishes below 2825, you kind of have a recipe for maybe a market that's going to start turning to the downside some and correcting more. Let me see if I can give you an example. No, of course not. All of these profiles move higher, so that's not a good example. Let's see if I can get one of the S&P. Okay, you can see once we got a lower point of control for the week, so from this profile down to this one, though it wasn't a big shift down, you see it was down, and we stayed under those levels for the entire week, and then all of a sudden we broke out, of course. But you can see it leads to some type of topping pattern, and it's just worth noting. Let's go into some of our positions. No, let's go like this. Okay, what we're looking at, failure off of last month's point of control, that's fine. What we're more concerned about is what the buyers will do if, of course, if anything, on this retracement here. So if we get a pullback, we want to see how this volume develops for the month. And one thing you can do is look at the weeklies. You can see volume from about 65.5 up to 65.75. That's probably a pretty good retracement area, and then you reevaluate after that. So you look to see if this level holds. If it does, you want to see it start pushing higher, regain these this 66. Well, let's see what the high was. 66, 65 level. You want to see it regain that. So a pullback is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Just manage your risk in the long. We have call spreads and kind of go from there. But overall, off the 233 moving average, off this high volume area low, here we are at the high volume area high, the August point of control. However, this target up here towards 70 looks pretty juicy. And one other thing to mention, 3 months, well, 3 point of controls in a row, 2 in a row really, we had migrating higher. So we still have a chance to do that this month. Just keep an eye on it. Alright, gold. This was a profitable position today. Shorted gold on Friday. Bought 168 puts that expire this month. I went ahead and took them off for 26-cent gains. Pretty small. We paid $1.50 or so for them. Pretty small gains. At the end of the day, they got as high as like 195. So I did leave money on the table, and it could keep going down. But I wanted to take the risk off. It was just a cheap shot, and the cheap shot was against the value area high for the year, this high volume area, a big spike on Friday. And you just look for a retracement. Remember, FOMC meeting isn't until Thursday, so you're going to get some selling into that from the longs who have been profitable, who didn't take profits on Friday. Let's see, DuPont. This was another name that I nibbled on today, not a big position. Just bought the 52.5 January 13 calls. So we're going out 4 months here, and we're looking for upside in DuPont. And what I'm basically looking for, let me get rid of these drawings. Here's our high volume area low, down at this 47.75 level or so. That was a really bad drawing. Let's try this again. Alright, 45.73 we'll call it. The top of it, 50.17. Did a pretty good job at containing price, right? Every time it popped under, it was right to be a buyer. Then we had support right at it and a move higher. Then we got above it. Eventually it was a little bit of resistance. Basically now we have a higher low here, and we're looking for a potential continuation to the upside. We do have some high volume areas. You know, you see this little high volume area here. That's really your more accurate resistance zone. And then ultimately up towards 51.38 to 51.62, that high volume area, which is definitely resistance back in June. So just keep an eye on it. What I'd be looking for is some type of higher low here. Well, like I said, bought a small position, and we go out to January 14. So I have a little bit of time for this to work out. But what I ultimately want to see is a test of basically the 52-week highs. We saw a nice pullback in DuPont. You know, maybe we've seen a push back up towards the upside. Well, there's only one way to determine that, and that's to be in the trade, so that's what we're doing. Other than that, that's really it. Still have the 67.5 by 66.5 put spreads in gold that expire this week. Depending on what tomorrow and Wednesday brings, I could have this position off. If gold drops to 166.5 or anywhere near that by Wednesday, and I have decent profits, I'm definitely going to take my profits off, just because if gold, you know, reverses back up to the upside, that's fine. Although one thing that I need to be aware of is, you know, the fact that gold can obviously sell off. So maybe keep half of the position on, something along those lines. We'll have to wait and see. But I will keep you updated. Southern Comfort, this is another name I'm long. You're seeing a pullback here, but 2 light volume days in a row. Look for the buying on weakness. Well, that's one thing to be concerned about. All right, back to here. So it's failing basically against last month's high volume area. That's fine, but what we want to see is some type of reversal. I like the fact that this point of control for the last 90 days is down at these lower levels. That shows me that, there's some skin in the game here, and we'll see if we get some buying pressure off of those levels. Pretty good pullback though from, this double top here. However, we're looking for a reversal. 4% dividend payer off the 233 moving average, off the point of control for the year. I'd expect this trade to work, but that's why we manage our risk, and we'll have to wait and see. We do have a lot of selling bars. Positions at right around a break even right now, so not too much of a big deal, and we'll kind of go from there. So anyways, that's it. I don't have much else to say. Manage your risk, realize the action's not going to be till Thursday, so it's okay to stay light, raise a little bit of cash. If you have some profits, go ahead and take some. It's been a nice couple of days for the bulls, and hopefully you did take some profits off, and also maybe initiate a few positions today, like the Yum call spread, maybe some DuPont calls, taking profits on GLD short, or long puts, I should say. So anyways, take care, have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.